Hey guys, so as usual I thought I'd bring a breakdown of the most played hand traps and staples and topping list from YCS, this time from Pasadena from the past weekend. And now admittedly this one's going to be a bit of a weird one since the majority of the top cut was Tearlaments Ishizu, so more or less this ends up being a breakdown of the most played hand traps and staples in that deck. And so I also want to give a really big shout out to Lundrady, Valen, and Christian Forsman because they constantly provide these spreadsheets with the topping deck list from different YCS events, so definitely go check out that spreadsheet. I'll link that below, and also Lundrady has a Discord called the Vault. I'll also link that below so that you can check it out for more Yu-Gi-Oh resources. And so yeah, I guess before we continue, just a big thanks to my sponsors as usual. Links and discount codes for Yu-Gi-Oh supplies down below. So let's just get started. Alright, so as mentioned earlier, the vast majority of the top cut was Tier Ishizu, so yes, we are now in a Tier 0 format, with Sprite and Flu having a tiny chance as well to top. Now another huge shout out to the Card Launcher store. They always create these wonderful graphics of top cut and topping lists. I'll link their Facebook page down below. To provide an overview of the hand traps, this technically range from 2 to 17 cards in the main with a median of 9, which is quite high, but keep in mind that this is a little misleading because tiers play Orange Heralds and the Kelbeck, which are technically hand traps. The orange I'm fine with including, but Kelbeck I was not as comfortable since for the most part it's being used to be milled, so let me know in the comments below whether you think I should still consider Kelbeck as a hand trap in my analysis moving forward. As for the side, the median number of hand traps was 4, which is slightly higher from 3 since the last YCS in Minneapolis. With the inclusion of Bestials in most decks, this seems to have increased the hand trap number in both main and the side for most lists. As for going second board breakers, this ranged from 0 to 10 in the main, but ultimately the median number was actually 0, since most of the lists are Tier Ishizu and they actually were hardly main decking Super Poly anymore, which is a little interesting. You still have cards like Droplet or Talents being played in the main in some lists, but not the majority. As for the side, the board breakers range from 3 to 10 cards with a median of 6, about the same as the last YCS. We'll go over some of the most played board breakers later in the video. So let's cover the most played hand traps as usual, and there wasn't really as much variety this time around now that most of the lists included was just Tearlaments, and keep in mind that only 29 of the 32 lists were publicly available, so that's what we're going to go with for this video. Now at first, as mentioned before, Kelbeck, which is exclusive to a Ishizu list. It is a hand trap as it can bounce your opponent's monster if a card was sent from the hand or deck to the opponent's graveyard, but it's more so used for its mill fodder, so not sure if I want to include it in the hand trap section moving forward. Then we have Bestial Druid's Worm, which is quickly shown to be dominant alongside other Bestial cards, and interestingly there was at least one list that played this and not the Magnificent. Its ability to send a special summon monster is quite good, and if you watch the YCS finals, that effect helps secure the win. Then we have Bestial Magnificent, of course, which helps search you the other Bestial cards so that you essentially have follow-up interruption. Really strong DD Crows on steroids essentially, and can help you overlay into Beatrice to send something like Merly. Don't forget to declare its effect on the summon though. Next we have a card that we probably don't want to see around, and that is Ghost Sister and Spooky Dogwood due to the time rules. This first saw some play in topping lists such as Jesse Cotton's at YCS Niagara, and looks like the popularity has caught on to try to gain a lot of life and win in time. Then we have another hand trap exclusive to a Ishizu list now, and formerly in Drytron in Orange Heralds. Essentially serves as gammas that can really shut turns, and not only that, if you were able to discard a Guido or Kelbeck with it, you get to start milling some cards as well. Incredibly strong, although you need that fairy in hand to be able to use it. Next we have the third bestial monster that can also serve as DD Crow, and that is Serenir. Initially didn't see much play at YCS Minneapolis, but now that Tearlaments are so much more dominant, this is seeing more play now. Then we have Ghost Reaper and Winter Cherries, which is something you normally see pop up in formats where there's a lot of mirrors going on because of a deck or two being dominant. Since tiers are also playing Sprite, Elf, and Sprint, it's got some nice targets against Sprite as well, and can just absolutely crush that matchup if this resolves. Next we have good old reliable Dimension Shifter, which has gone from a card that was heavily hated to a card that is, well, technically still hated, but viewed as necessary to keep Tearlaments in check. Obviously Flunder likes to main deck this card, but some Sprite lists have begun to main this as well, and change your playstyle accordingly. Then we have Cyframe Gear Gamma, which was only sided if played, which has been the common trend in the last few months. Hani, who won the YCS, really stated how important Gamma was in almost every matchup, and it's certainly a strong card, especially when you already have the Orange Heralds as well in tiers. Finally, we have Imperm that was only seen in 3 lists, but again, this is because majority of the top cut was Tier Ishizu, which does not have many flex spots. What was once the most popular hand trap before the bestials came out, the card is still very strong, and I'm sure it is in most lists that are not Tearlaments. So basically, I think this marks the first time that Ash Blossom did not make it onto the top 10, but I'm sure it will be back soon one day once we move away from this tier 0 format. Now on to the most played staples. We start with Volcanic Scattershot, which is another card to win in time for that burn damage. Not something you want to see, but can't blame players considering the time rules and the fact that Tearlament matches can take forever. Next we have Triple Tactics Talents, which is a very strong card in this format since the top 3 decks in Tier, Sprite, and Flunder will be activating effects on the main phase of your turn, so you can use it to break boards. Really showed its worth in the finals of YCS Pasadena as well. Then we have Call by the Grave, which is not played in every list like it used to be a few months ago, but still worth playing as it can stop a variety of plays right now, mainly the tier fusion plays, and not to mention to stop Shifter for tiers. Next we have Forbidden Droplets, which is a card that can be used going first or second, and especially in Tearlaments Ishizu, the card becomes even stronger due to the discard potentially starting a mill. It was a card that was split in terms of being main decked or sided. We then have Harpy's Feather Duster, which of course is the best out for back row right now, so not much more to say about this one. And then we have Lightning Storm, which I was actually a little bit surprised it saw a lot more play this time, especially over evenly matched. Would not be great against tiers, I don't think, but at least it's versatile against all other strategies. Next we have Super Polymerization, and as mentioned earlier, this was not seeing as much play as before post Magnificent Mavens. Really strong card of course, and can potentially be used to stop Dweller against the tier board depending on what they end on, but looks like it's moved away from being a guaranteed card on tiers. Then we have another favorite back row removal in Cosmic Cyclone, where the banishing is always nice, especially against tier traps. Although Twin Twisters may have some benefit over this in tiers as well, since the discard could potentially be useful. Then we have Dark Ruler No More, which has been falling in play lately, and now that we aren't dealing with Sprite as the best deck since the last couple months, it's not a given that people are playing this. Not amazing against tiers either, since they can have their traps to start their plays, although they do end on Barone and Rukala, so that is pretty strong and may warrant some monster negation. Lastly, we have Mystic Mine, which has also declined in play lately, and some would say that it is not good in the current format. There was at least one tier Ishizu list main decking this card along with Demise of the Land actually, so pretty interesting. Card should still get banned though. Alright guys, so that was it for the breakdown of the most played hand traps and staples for YCS Pasadena. We have YCS Dortmund coming very soon, so looking forward to see whether the tier 0 format continues. As usual, big thanks to my Patreons, Eileen Dice Queen, Bolt Spider, Cybernetic, Brandon Jaren, Bearlord, Spooky Boogie, Ghidorah, and Stephen Phillips as always for supporting me. It means a lot. Take care guys.